for us to really analyze how college basketball went throughout the entire season, since JB and I didn't necessarily dive headfirst into the college basketball season. But with March Madness upon us, it behooves us to have a discussion about where we are in college sports as a whole. This conversation could have been had at the end of January when we saw Ohio State win the national championship. And the conversation was that they had bought the national championship because how many players they had on their roster that were receiving millions and millions of dollars through NIL deals. And here we are in the college basketball world, where arguably, some people might disagree with me, but I personally think NIL is more significant because the names matter more. As just JB and I have discussed multiple times, names carry a lot of weight in basketball, from college all the way to the NBA. Your name carries a loud voice. In college basketball, we have four number one teams ranked this year. Those being Duke, Auburn, Houston, and I'm forgetting the last one. But out of those four teams, I did some digging, and the number one team potentially with the highest NIL amount of money in their roster is Duke. Auburn, Houston are right behind them. Duke having approximately $6 to $7 million in their NIL deals for their player, and Auburn and Houston projected to have between $1 to $2 million in their roster. So the conversation must be had: is NIL really getting out of control for small schools to be competitive in these sports? Football, like I said, is a whole different conversation, and the playoff expansion has allowed maybe a little bit more parity in that. But in college basketball, we have millions of dollars to going to these players, and it's worth asking the question: for name, image, and likeness, do you remember the last time that you saw one of your favorite players in basketball in a commercial or in a billboard or any type of standalone media feature where they are actually using their name, image, and likeness to earn that money? My guess is that you can't really think of any. Why? Because we're really using the NIL as a coverage for players to just be getting paid an income for joining a specific school. And really, we have nobody to blame but the NCAA, because if they would have allowed these players to and these schools to just be straightforward about the fact that they wanted to buy the services of these athletes to come to their schools years ago, we wouldn't have had to go through all these court sessions for them to have to fight for the rights to their name, images, and likeness to get paid. And now here we are, where we think that name, image, and likeness is a thing, but really, at the end of the day, it is just a salary that a player is making to play for a school. JB, we are back with another episode of Box Scores and Bourbon on a late Thursday afternoon. We have March Madness, and I pour up my bracket about 48 hours ago. Welcome to another episode of Box Scores and Bourbon.
Welcome, Manny.
JB,
a wonderful way
cheers.
to bring us in. Let's do this.
Clink, clink.
Cheers, my man. Clink, clink.
Ah,
Yeah, I like your monologue. I like and if I talk softer tonight, it's because I just tucked my five kids into bed. So, and I'm on the same floor as them. I don't have that. We don't have that rich podcaster money yet, where I can have a house behind my house to
yeah,
do a
just for
podcast.
filming. No, we do not have
Yeah.
that. It is not in the budget.
No, but um, I like what you're saying, and I want to highlight the NCAA. The NCAA is just it has been for a long time a a mafia racket. That's all it's
Yeah,
been. And anytime someone utters getting rid of the NCAA, they treat the NCAA as if it's, like, you know, Joe Pesci from Goodfellas, like Tommy DeVito is gonna be like, "Oh, I'm a joke to you. What's so funny? What's so funny? Oh, what? I'm a clown. I make you laugh." And then we're just gonna be led down the back alley by Jimmy Conway, and Lorraine Bracco is about to get whacked. But
hmm
I mean, NCAA eventually is gonna have to be eradicated because it is just it is a, a a racketeering organization. It's all it is. And it's
right.
been that way for a long time. It's just now starting to come to light, and until we get to a place where we actually have a college football czar and a college basketball czar, like people actually running the sports as if it's like like a pro sport, like a commissioner
Mm-hmm.
almost, and kind of running down. It's going to be this way. But and the other part of that is this NIL money. It really makes me kind of think because uh, when you had mentioned that, I had thought about, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, they were talking about expanding March Madness to, I think,
Right.
74 teams. And I'm like, 68 was too much. 64 was the cap. I mean, that was the absolute most. And all I hear is when you say, "Oh, well, we want to expand it to bring more parity." Well, to me, all you're doing is highlighting the fact that that the sport is so top heavy as it is with
Oh yeah.
NIL that you're thinking, "Oh, well, if we bring in smaller schools, if we bring in more Cinderellas." What makes Cinderella a great story is that there was one Cinderella, there was one glass slipper, there was only 1 foot. Okay, we can't have 10 Cinderellas in this damn county, okay? Because then the king, now he's Mormon and he's got you know sister wives, and it's just polygamy everywhere. But it's just like Cinderella is a Cinderella, and so when you sit there and say we're trying to bring more parity, you, the best way to bring more parity is to play the sport where the players go to the school they want to go to when it's not when they're not blinded by the cash bag. When the cash bag is thrown in their face, then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, let me just go to this school instead, and then attach my name to the brand, and
Right.
then we'll go from there. And so, uh,
Yeah,
uh,
and it's setting up the whole March Madness thing. Yes, we have the random like you said, the random Cinderella story where Loyola kind of makes a little bit of a push and gets to what I think they got to the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight of four,
yeah,
5, 6 years ago. What those stories are great, but at the end of the day, if you look at like who's actually winning these national championships, and goes back to before NIL, the schools that are really winning the national championships are the elite schools. I don't remember in my lifetime really being conscious about a smaller school winning a national championship. It's always been like what they call the blue blood schools that ultimately end up winning these
mm-hmm,
championships. That's not a surprise. I mean, ultimately, if you create a great program, you're gonna have the most success. That's fair.
mm-hmm,
But now you add the element of NIL and all these money components. And the reason that in the monologue that I mentioned that the research that I was able to do for how much NIL was on certain rosters was because a lot of these NILDs are kind of becoming these backdoor deals through these third party agencies that are paying for the name, images, likeness of these players. But really, it's just a funneling way for the school to really pay for these players. That being said, the schools that are going to have the biggest NIL uh, pots of money are the big schools. So if you're wanting to say, let's expand the March Madness component of things because we want to give more teams the opportunity, all you're really going to do is almost create more of an embarrassment for all these small schools because these big schools are running. It's the wild west when it comes to the NIL. It really is. The big schools are going to get richer because they have all the money. They have the big programs. They have the big schools tend to be in the richer cities where they have a lot more money to be pushed to these players. So you're really not creating any type of fairness or more parity in the tournament by adding more teams. What you need to do is find a balance to maybe this was a conversation to be had before NIL. Like I said, before when the NCAA should have considered allowing these players to just be straightforward get paid. Had, you should have figured out a way to have a cap on how much you can play a college player because now we have a player in Duke that's allegedly is making a $4 or $5 million NIL deal for being at Duke. Like this is where we are right now.
yeah,
A college player, what 19, 18, 21, if you're a little seasoned, making $6, $7 million in college, and you're supposed to compete with our local, like our schools, like here in New
mm-hmm,
Mexico, or a small school out in the middle of nowhere. You're really expecting those schools to compete when you're gonna bring that player in plus another 15 other players that are making almost a
yeah,
million dollars to play for your school. Who's going to be able to afford millions of dollars to pay for those players if not the big schools already? So you're right. Like the expanding the March Madness is not a solution to the issue that we're having of, and maybe issue is a wrong word because I don't think if you ask the NCAA or even college basketball, I don't think they're considering it an issue with all the top schools consistently winning. But for a typical fan that wants to feel like their school has a chance, and for the typical fan that wants to see a 8, 9, 10 seed have a chance, it's for me, it's an issue because you know dang well that your school, just because elite players are going to go to the bigger market schools, they're not going to compete. There's no chance that you're going to compete. And this is not fall on the players. By no means am I blaming the players for going and chasing a bag because
Yeah.
that's the market that has been created for them.
Yeah.
The uh, the previous players, the Reggie Bushes of the past that pioneered the way for that NIL to finally take place, these players that we have now, they're they're harvesting the fruits of all the previous issues that we had in college sports,
Yeah.
and it's not really their fault for taking advantage of that situation. It's really not. It's really the school and
Mm-hmm.
the NCAA as a whole. That's where the issue
Yeah.
lies.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you look at the 12-year-old in the back seat and say, "Here, kid, here's the keys. I trust you," and let them crash the car. Like this, I mean, you don't blame the kid. You blame the adult who gave the kid the keys and said, "I trust you." So this is, I mean, yeah, of course these kids are 18, 19. Their moms are like, "Hey, you should go to school and get your degree." You're like, "Yeah, mom, I'm gonna do that." Hey,
Mm-hmm.
dad, guess how much money I'm getting to go here. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, it really just does a disservice. Like, even in college football and college basketball, it does a disservice because it not only you, you, you not only put all the leverage in the hand of the player coming straight out of high school, the 18-year-old coming out of high school,
Mm-hmm.
but you also take the control out of the hands of the coach and the coaching staff because and look, if we're gonna have NAL, that's great. We're gonna have transfers, that's awesome. But we need to have a system. Maybe say if you accept NIL money, you need to stay at this school for at
Contracts.
least 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't just be one and done. You need to stay at the school. If you're going to transfer, you can transfer uh, once outside of the conference and play immediately. If you transfer within the conference, and you have to sit out a year. Like there's got to be some rules here. I mean, you can't just like yeah, again, you know, you can't just sit here and say, oh, how dare you, child, just wreck this Lamborghini. Well, you were the adult that gave the kid the key in the first place and said, "I
Yeah.
trust you." So don't. I mean, and I think we get lost in the sauce here, saying, "Oh, this guy took this much. This guy took." Yeah, so would I. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, if the system allowed it, absolutely, I'm going to take it. Yeah, why not? But I mean, like I didn't create the system, so this is the system that was presented before me, and I decided,
Mm-hmm.
hey, yeah, this is great for my future. Maybe if I'm smart enough, I can have some people in my corner who know how to handle my money well, and I
Mm-hmm.
can be set for success well beyond my professional playing career. But we need to step back. We need to look at who the issue is, and it's NCAA. And NCAA, no matter what they do, you cannot. You can put all the lipstick on this pig all you want, but you're still not going to fool me into thinking that we're doing this for the betterment of the sport. No, you're trying to create. You are trying to generate a narrative that that hopefully buries the truth. Okay, you're trying to, you know, this. I'm gonna use Goodfellas again. You're trying to get Tommy DeVito to bury, you know, uh, Ray Liotta. All right, that's what you're trying to do. Okay, and it's just not gonna work.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I mean that's why I called it the Wild Wild West because they opened the floodgates of this NIL. And I remember when the NIL thing finally came to a close where they finally said name, image, and likeness was a way of income for college players. And I do remember during that time where even locally we had some players that were like on some random like optometrist billboard and they were doing these like random little like appearances representing the brand. And that went out the window fast, faster than you could possibly say the business that they were advertising because it came to the realization that nobody really was going to one track what this NIL money was coming from and what you were doing to earn this money. And number two, it was very obvious that it was too much money to be able to reel it in from so many different avenues that you're not able to see exactly where this money is coming from. Does the like I said, the NCAA really messed up, and this is the outcome of their issues from 10, 15, 20 years ago when we, like I keep mentioning, they refused to allow players to make any type of money if they were in college. Their money was their scholarships and whatever their housing or whatever they were putting them in at that time. If you would have allowed that to get to come to fruition on its own and just allow schools to say we're going to pay a certain amount of cap money for these players at the beginning, we would not be where we are right now. Now we have all these third party agencies that are playing them the paying the players, and supposedly they're bringing in all these businesses and they're centralizing this money and then they're distributing this money to the players. Are you? We're not that delusional to not see what's happening. It's in our face, and the wild west term fits perfectly. And at the same time, we can sit here and judge them all the time, but considering the current landscape of where we are in college sports, how do you reel back this wild beast that you've given all the food, all the acreage of land to grow, all the nutrients. You've allowed this beast to grow on its own, and how there's not real. I can't think of a way to really reel it back at this point without setting some type of laws or anything in the NCAA level that's going to really reel it back. And I don't see the NCAA doing that at this moment. It's spiraled too much out of control for you to really be able to say like, oh, we can reel this back easily. It's gonna get really messy really fast, and it's gonna be uh, a very top heavy thing for the elite schools
Yeah.
for a few years before they realize that there has to be some sort of control that has to be implemented.
And honestly, I don't even think. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be loud. It's gonna be noisy. It's gonna be messy. Might be some tantrums thrown. But I, if you're the adult in the room, then you sit there and say, "This is out of hand. I'm the adult. You're the child." And quite literally, that's what we're talking about. I'm an adult. You're a child. This is how it's gonna be. And
Yeah.
if you, and yeah, it's gonna be loud. It's gonna be messy. But you know what? Fine. Do it anyway. If a change needs to be made for the betterment of your household, then you do it. If a change needs to be made in order for order to be restored, then you do it.
Mm-hmm.
You fess up. You own up to how you know, you botched. Okay, I'll give them some credit. How they gloriously botched this entire thing, and but you sit there and say it's my fault. We did this. Now this is how we're going to be. So, yeah. If the kids
Yeah.
aren't used to cleaning their room every day, well, guess what? You're gonna clean your room. You're gonna fight. You're gonna fuss, but you're gonna do it anyway. That's how it's got to be here.
Yeah, I mean, the easy solution is saying no matter where the money's coming from, if it's
Mm-hmm.
name, image, and likeness related, you can only make a certain amount of thousands of dollars to be at any school at any time. Like, no matter if you transfer anything in your money, if you sign a contract, your money carries over, you've earned your pay for that period, whatever.
Yeah.
It's seems easier said than done, though. That's my thing. The more I analyze how this is going, like you're gonna piss off a lot of people, which you kind of just addressed, and it's easier said than done because there's so many. You're opening the door for the like when a parent you continue with your analogy of like the parent and the child.
Mm-hmm.
When a parent sets a lot of rules in their house and a lot of guidelines and bedtime or not bedtime, but like be back by this time and stuff. And there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
restrictions that ends up leading to the children becoming rebellious and sneaking out of the house. And the equivalent of a child sneaking out of the house is a bunch of these backdoor deals happening that we don't know what's going on because they're being forced to want to make as much money as they can, but their cap on the school level is I don't know, $50,000 for the year or whatever that looks like. It's just
Yeah.
the more rules you set in place, because of the landscape of how everything is going, that there's just gonna create add more mud to the waters when it comes to all these additional ways of the school to bring these players. Because even before NIL was a thing, it is not a secret. I think players have come out and said like I went to the school and they gave me this nice car and they put me up in this amazing house and they did all this stuff and I had a stipend every week or whatever. That was the equivalent of what's going on now, but now it was backdoor stuff. It's not a
Yep.
secret that that was happening, and if you set a rule of any type of way, once you let the floodgates go with NIL, it's gonna kind of lead down that same path again. It's gonna be more of backdoor deals of we're paying you in this way, but we're not actually giving you money, so it doesn't count towards your cap or whatever. It's just messy. Overall, it's just a messy situation. I don't know the like I said, I don't know the solution. And as we dive into March Madness, I'm curious to see the outcome of some of these games, and I'll really be intrigued to see how where we're standing at like the Elite Eight. That's where like I'll use as my gauge to see if there's actually some type of seriousness between a smaller school being able to make a run, because by the Elite Eight, all the smaller schools will probably be washed out. We'll probably have all four number one seeds, maybe a couple, two or three of the number two seeds, and maybe one or two will be upset. But at the end of the day, you'll see the what are they? What's that analogy? The good stuff rise to the top at by that level, and
Yeah.
it'll show. And if you
Yeah.
were able to chase the
Green
money,
rises to the top. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And if
Yeah.
you were able to chase the money for the schools that are going to be at that level, even at the Final Four level, I almost am willing to bet the schools that make it to the Final Four will be in line with the schools that are paying the most money to their players to be at that school. It's not it's not going to be a surprise at all.
Yeah. No, not at all. Yeah.
Now,
Oh,
did you have a chance to look at the brackets at all?
not
Did you?
really. No, but I'm picking Auburn to win it all. Auburn was just. I mean, it, the the little college basketball I watched this year, um, and of course I watched the Alabama Auburn game, and Alabama really just had no business being the number two seed. But Auburn was. I mean, Auburn to me, like the only other team that I think could actually overtake them is Florida,
Hmm.
who is the other number one seed that eluded you. But
Oh yeah, that's
um,
right.
but I mean, Auburn is just you know uh, Bruce Pearl's got something cooking in Auburn, and it's just it is nice to see an SEC school. I'm an SEC kid, born and bred, and so it is nice to see an SEC, that two SEC schools really kind of just be at the the cream of the crop in the brackets, and so I don't know. I mean, I like Auburn to win it. I mean, I'm as much of a fan of the Cinderella story as anybody, but we have to remember the prince had to go through 12 ugly fat feet before he got to Cinderella's. So it takes time. It takes time for Cinderella to be found. And so I think this year before that happens, it's going to be it's you know I think this is I don't think this is going to be one of those years where like a lower ranked team is going to make it. I think
No.
this is going to be like, okay, this is it. Um, After we get past the second round, of course, everything's going to be clear. The smoke's going to be cleared. The picture's going to be clear. So being able, I mean, I'm going to pick Auburn. I'm picking Auburn.
You know what's funny? I actually sat down and kind of did like a by the numbers analysis of the bracket. I just looked at the matchups and saw what their field goal percentages were and their free throw percentages and their 3-point percentages and how much they score points they score per game and how much points they allow. I just looked at the overall comparison between the teams and I ended up coming up with Duke winning it all. And this was before I looked into the NIL stuff. And then
Mm-hmm.
I went and dug into the NIL money, and everything points to the fact that most likely the school that has the most money in NILs is actually Duke. So there's something to be said about NIL and school success and the team being more efficient. If you have elite
Yeah.
players, you're gonna you're gonna obviously do better. If you have all 5-star recruits and that know how to shoot the ball, you're gonna do really well. But I just thought it was funny that before me diving into the NIL stuff, that I just looked at the statistics of a team and I ended up having Duke win it all, and it ends up being that they probably have the most money in NIL. I think it's a I don't think it's a coincidence, but
Mm-hmm.
it is amusing to be able to see it face to face once you actually look at at some of the matchups and stuff like that.
Yeah, and honestly, we need to, people need to treat their March Madness brackets like they do their 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 football fantasy drafts. Don't take it too seriously. Okay,
Yeah,
what's the first rule of March Madness brackets? Don't take it too seriously. What's the second rule of March Madness brackets? Don't take it too seriously. I mean, that's really where it comes down to. I think you can, I think I sat here last year and did a solo episode, and I picked my entire bracket based on the mascot, and I got pretty
oh,
close. I got to the Sweet 16. So like this is, I mean, like this. There's no science to this. No one's got the algorithm. There's no
no,
equation. It's not. You don't have John Nash back there talking to Paul Bettany and be like, oh hey, this is it, and okay, and so it's and you got Jennifer Connelly saying, what are you doing over here? I'm doing my bracket. So it's just don't take it seriously, okay? And just go with your gut, go with your feel. Every game that you go across, just go with your feel. I bet you everybody who picked Clemson to beat Nittany State didn't have that. I
you
bet
know,
you everybody picked Clemson to beat McNeese. So, but hey, guess what? All right, don't sleep on the Cowboys. All right, okay. Speaking of Cowboys, we're about to speak about some Cowboys because we're about to break down our our in our segment of buy, balance, or blow it up, and we're gonna break down the NFC East right now. And I'm gonna give my boy Manny an opportunity to give. You know what? Hey, Manny, you know what I did for the first 3 days of spring break? I rebuilt the fence, and you know what? I had some extra lumber available, and I was like, you know what? What better gift for me than to build a soapbox for my buddy to just give a rant about the Dallas Cowboys. And
here,
so
let
I
me
can't wait
on
until
that
we get there
soapbox.
because, of course, it'll be the last team we talk about because they'll finish in last. But we'll I've gifted to them. I've wrapped it all nice and pretty. I took a bow tying class just to be able to wrap this up and give it to you. So I really hope that you accept this gift from me to you, and you use it well, use it wisely, and just with joy in your heart as you talk about this team that just burns deep in your soul.
Yeah, well, I'll take my opportunity whenever we start talking about the Cowboys, and I'll stand on the soapbox and cry my sorrows away like I usually do whenever any kind of conversation. When's the last time I have something good to say about the Cowboys? Probably before we,
1995.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They really. There's some deep wounds that were created, some major fractures in my heart that were created after they got blown out by the Packers in the first round after going 12-5. Those are going to take a long time to heal, and that was really like the last nail in the coffin for me to have hope for the Cowboys of the future. But let's dive right in. Let's dive right into our new segment between now and the draft called Buy, Balance, or Blow It Up, featuring the NFC East. Let's start at the top.
Yes.
The NFC champ, Super Bowl champ, Philadelphia Eagles. JB, the question is mute, but I'll ask it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Should Philadelphia buy more pieces, find balance with their pieces, or blow it up?
Howie Roseman is a mad scientist. He is Pinky, and Nick Sirianni is who?
The
Who was
brain?
Brain? Yeah, was was Brain the smart one? Was
Yeah, that's
Pinky?
why he's called Brain.
Okay,
Pinky's a
so
dumb
Howie
one.
Roseman is Brain. Okay,
Yeah, there you go.
why,
I was
why
gonna
just
say
call
there's no
Pinky and
way.
Brain? Why are we not leading with Brain? I don't understand this. So I was a child. We're all idiots. They just expected us to go with it. So Howie Roseman is Brain. Nick Sirianni is Pinky. He's just some master. And so Howie Roseman's going out there making all of his potions and trying to take over the world. And Howie Roseman does exactly this. He's trying to take over the world. And you would think that in a year where you win the Super Bowl, you would think, oh, I want to balance. This guy balances things out by blowing it up. He is the epitome of addition by subtraction. It makes no sense, but if you're Howie Roseman and you've been to two Super Bowls in 3 years and you won the last one, hey, you know what? You listen to Howie Roseman, okay? He knows what he's doing. And when you when you extend Zach Bond, when you extend Saquon, and you're looking at your salary cap for 2026 and beyond, you're thinking, okay, what's going to be the most beneficial for just salary cap wise? And he says, oh hey, I'm going to trade one of my fearsome duos from from the back end of my defense for a lineman no one's ever heard of in a conditional pick. Let's just do that. Let's do this. And so, I mean, it's interesting what Howie's doing because he is in fact looking at the money. But you have Reed Blankenship for one more year. You still have Cooper and you have Quinion who would line up on the outside who did admirable jobs the second half of the last season, especially in the Super Bowl. Fantastic jobs and fantastic just scouting it gets for the both of them going to Philly, which was just mind-boggling to me. But I would, if I'm not, I would say balance it out. But no, he's like, no, we're gonna we're gonna do addition by subtraction. We're gonna sign some people to some extensions, and we're gonna trade some key pieces for people that no one's ever heard of before. That's what we're gonna do. And guess what, guys? It's gonna work. Okay, Kenyon Green is the O lineman from who was it? The Texans. Kenyon Green was the lineman from the Texans that CD Deuce was traded for, and Kenyon Green really is just there to kind of help solidify the O line, kind of give some depth. They were able to re-sign Lane Johnson, which is good. He's a key piece of the O line, but the Eagles. I mean, it's Howard Roseman. What are you gonna do? He's a mad scientist. He didn't get Myles Garrett. We all thought he was just gonna end up in Philly. I mean, all roads eventually lead to Philly. Eventually, I guess. And so, it's just. Um, so my, and it's hard to say this now because we already seen it, but he balanced by blowing it up. Okay,
Yeah,
he did addition by subtraction. That's what he
yeah,
did.
he really did. I I don't even know what to say about it because uh, even he was responsible for the transition from Carson Wentz to Jalen Hurts, and even during that time, they thought he was crazy for
Yeah.
signing Carson Wentz and then drafting Jalen Hurts in the second round. I think
Yeah.
yeah, they got him in the second round. And we're
Probably
like,
the
well,
greatest thing he did was get rid of Kenny Pickett. That was probably the single-handed greatest move he made this offseason was he traded his backup quarterback for another backup quarterback, but for someone who models Jalen's game even better.
yeah,
So DTR is, I mean, you can't really judge a man by his play in Cleveland because, I mean, it's Cleveland, okay?
yeah,
Um, we tell people to go back to Cleveland for a reason, because it sucks. So but having him come into an organization where Jalen Hurts is, and if Jalen, does live up to his namesake and is out for multiple weeks, DTR is able to come in and really seamlessly carry on this game plan.
yeah. No, you're right.
Just hand Saquon the ball. That's the game plan. Hey,
It's not
hand
a
Saquon the ball.
yeah, it's not a hard recipe they have brewing up in Philadelphia. More
Yeah,
teams should maybe. I mean,
yeah,
it's easy to say follow the
mhm,
Philadelphia recipe because it's
yeah,
obviously working, but when you have a GM like Howie Roseman that's kind of playing quad chess when everybody's just playing checkers and beginner level chess, it's hard to build a team to mirror the
yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles. But my point was my point was that even during the Carson Wentz to Jalen Hurts era, everybody thought he was crazy for drafting a quarterback when you had just signed Carson Wentz to a massive contract, and he got ahead of the game and they got rid of Wentz, and Jalen Hurts has won them a Super Bowl, and the rest is history as far as what that team looks like.
You know who
It's
wasn't surprised by that? This guy, because the because when the Eagles won the Super Bowl prior, wasn't Carson Wentz who was the quarterback? No, it
that's
was
right.
Nick Foles. So
Yes.
let's not let's not sit here and say, oh wow, you just ditched Carson. Well, Carson kind of ditched himself. Okay, let's not forget that. Okay, Carson was not behind center in that Super Bowl victory. He just wasn't.
No. He got them pretty far, but I think a lot of the pieces were falling right, like at the right time for him to be
Yeah.
balling out during that time. And what did he do? He shattered his shin or some crazy injury, something. That was like the most well-timed situation for that to happen. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm glad
Yeah.
he got hurt, but like for the team, it obviously worked out
And
pretty
Howie
well.
Roseman planned it all. He did it.
Yeah, he had it all. He had
He
it all
said,
in
"Hey
the.
Carson, I saw this scene from the new Karate Kid where Jaden was kicking bamboo with his shin.
Yeah,
Let's do that." And then
yeah.
whack, and
And
he's
then
out.
he must have had like some insider deal with Nick Foles, like, hey, I'm gonna make you the starter, and
Yeah.
then you're gonna win us a Super Bowl, and then you're gonna make millions of dollars because everybody's gonna believe that you are the reason for a franchise to turn around. And then
Yeah.
Nick Foles went and
Speaking,
like,
just real quick, speaking to Philly, one of the rule proposals, and we've all heard this already. The Packers have submitted getting rid of the tush push. Okay, I am sick and tired of other teams because you suck at it trying to tell other teams you can't do it. Like, just be better at it. Or come up with your own play. Like, I mean, Boise State beat Oklahoma because of the Statue of Liberty. Okay? Bring the Statue of Liberty play to the NFL. All right? Why don't you have Jordan Love do that? He's tall enough. All right? Just give him a tiara. He looks like Lady Liberty. I mean, why are you trying to tell teams, hey, you're too good at that, so we want you to stop it.
yeah,
We
it's
just
not
want you to
fair.
stop it altogether.
The
No,
fairness factor is amazing. You know what? I have to.
it's so stupid.
As you reminded me of the tush push, I have to give them credit because that offense has not been like the same players for 5 years. They've lost pieces, they've replaced pieces. Offensive
Mhm.
linemen have come and gone, and not one offensive lineman or any offensive player has gone to another team and like broken down how the tush push is working for the Eagles so that they could replicate it. That
Yeah.
must be some hardcore loyalty that those players had to that play because if they were less loyal, that play would have stopped working 2 years ago, and somehow no team can figure it out. Yeah, I think it is funny that team that, I mean, like we're tagging it on the Packers because they're the ones that really like pulled the plug on pushing for that rule. But at the end of the day, they said the quiet part out loud when it comes to all the other teams, which is that they're not happy because they can't stop it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's funny to me that no team has been able to figure it out. Apparently, statistically speaking, their conversion rate in the last 3 years has slowly been declining. So maybe that's a sign that some teams are figuring it out. But at the end of the day, like the Packers are the ones that are gonna take the sword and shove it across their
Yeah.
chest like the old samurai because they're the ones that are sticking
Mm-hmm.
their name on the trying
Yeah.
to ban you.
Mm-hmm.
I would be surprised if they managed to ban a play because they just can't figure out how to stop it.
It's
I
so
mean,
stupid.
maybe get your quarterback and your running back and a fullback into the weight room and start having them do some squats because it seems like a whole lot
Yeah.
of that is because
All
nobody.
you gotta do is bend low.
Yeah,
Look, it's not a coincidence that we hear about the tush push and we hear about how much Jalen Hurts can squat. Okay?
yeah,
If you can
that's what I'm
squat
saying.
600 pounds, you can get pretty damn low. Josh
Yeah.
Allen, I'm talking to you, okay? Just get low. Get the hell low. Jordan Love, stop being a pussy. Get low. What's your problem? You don't like being that low? Huh? You never been that low before? Just get
And then
low.
get yourself a running back that can really like deadlift and squat a 500 pounds to give him a little extra push. That's all it takes. It's we figured it out, JB.
Here's
We
the
figured out
fix.
the push.
When we do OTAs, have every single team, not the Eagles, visit the nationals of the midget limbo competitions, okay? And then see how low they get, all right? See how low they get. They get really low because they're already there. But you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot.
Hmm. Either way, shame. I mean, I guess we can say shame on the Packers for really putting in that rule.
So stupid.
I'm
It's so
amused by it.
incredibly just childish. And it's like, oh my goodness, come on. What? Tell me, tell me you're not better than another team without telling me you're not better than another
Yeah,
team. Like this is the epitome of it. Like we all know who the tush push is advantageous for. It's
yeah.
for one team. It's
It's
because they
targeted for
perfected
sure.
it. They've perfected it. Now just be better. Be better at it.
Yeah. You know, bringing it all back, well, taking it back when the rumor started coming around that they were gonna file for that. The GM of the Packers was at like the owners meeting or something, and they asked him about it. And the fact that he was like, "Oh yeah, no, I heard something about it, but I don't know really what that's about." Like we don't know that everything that comes out of your organization goes through the GM. You knew damn well that your team was going to submit to ban that, and for you to act like you're like caught off guard by what your team is trying to do, that's you're the GM. Give
Yeah,
me a break that you don't know what's going on with your
yeah,
organization. Come on now.
yeah. All right, let's
Okay.
get to the Washington dead named Redskins. Let's get to them.
No. The commies, JB, the commies.
Commies. You know what?
Yes.
I like the commies because this whole thing is very communist.
Yeah, you
So
can
yes, the
get
commies.
behind the commies. That we it was like a compromise that we found for you to be able to use
Oh, you know
partially.
what? I love the commies. Let's get to the commies. Okay.
The
All right.
Washington commies.
Let's get to them.
Buy, balance, or blow it up. I'm actually torn with this one, so I'll let you go first.
I always thought they should buy, and that's what they're doing. They are buying hard, and in the quotes, to quote Debo Samuel, I like a winner. So this is Debo going there. I know he's lost a step, but I can't help but imagine what Debo's pep is going to look like when he is with a quarterback not named Brock Purdy. And again, for all you Niner fans who are slamming me on TikTok for saying something about the all hallowed Brock Purdy, okay? Your God. I know he's just below Joe Montana for greatest 49er quarterback to you weirdos. But like you cannot sit here and tell me that as a 49er fan, you still wouldn't rather Jaden Daniels over Brock Purdy. You can't tell me that. And if you tell me that, my next question is, why are you lying? Just just come to grips with reality. It's a thing. You can sit there in the middle of the road and say the truck's not coming, but guess what? You're about to get flattened in 2 seconds because the truck exists. So don't give me this bull crap about Brock Purdy. He's so good. He did so good in that second half of that one playoff game 2 years ago. Okay, yeah, he did great. Awesome. I'm happy for him. Okay, he's gonna get paid. Let's move on to again back to reality. It- that look, this was not going to be a thing where the commie leadership or management was going to just just kind of say, hey, let's just run it back. Adam Peters was not going to let that happen. Dan Quinn was going to have a voice in that room. He brought back, I mean, he brought in Debo Samuel. He convinced Michael Gallup to come out of retirement. So Michael
Hmm.
Gallup is now part of that receiver room.
I was
And let's
waiting to
not
see if you
forget,
brought him up.
Michael Gallup was a pretty decent receiver for Dallas.
Pretty good.
He
This is a
was just
pretty good number
completely
two.
overlooked because you were like, well, who's running the football? So like, it's not as if Gallup brings no value. Like this is like they are going out. They are buying in to Jaden Daniels because you know what? You should. What
Hmm.
Jaden Daniels showed as a rookie, yes, is the exception to the rule, but it's also exceptional. And so you need to buy into the exceptionalness of Jaden Daniels because if you don't, you are dumb. You are just plain dumb.
Here's my question to you with the wide receiver room. They have a Terry, scary Terry. They
Mm-hmm.
have a Debo Samuel, and now they
Yep.
have Michael Gallup. Who's the one, two, and three receiver? The number one receiver, the outside opposite receiver, and then the slot receiver. How do you? It seems like they have what maybe one strong number one, two number two. So I'm just curious to see how they're going to distribute the ball when it comes to the passing game because Gallup was a solid number two
Yeah.
when he was with the Cowboys.
Well, like I would like honestly, like remember you still have Luke McCaffrey, okay? You and look, everyone overlooks this guy, but he was my sneaky pick. If he was on fire, the commies would have run through the NFC playoff picture. And now's Noah Brown. Noah Brown is not anyone to sleep on. So you have Scary Terry, you have Debo, you have Gallup, you have Luke McCaffrey, you have Noah Brown. That's five capable receivers. Five. One of them is a starter on every single team, which is well outside of maybe three, which is Scary Terry, and the other four are capable number twos.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a wide receiver room to just like whatever. I can handle these guys. Jaden Daniels has weapons for days. For days.
He
Forget
does.
about just having three receivers. He's got five. Five, and I'm not talking about tight ends, wide receivers. Guys who can stretch the field with real speed. Five. Five of these guys. What? How do you stop that? How in the, why are you not just in like shotgun every play and just all five receivers just right there and like you have five receivers, five O linemen, and Jaden. That's it. That's. I mean, this is Chip Kelly's wet dream. Just having five wideouts, it just every play. Like, what do you? How do you not just do that?
Yeah, I don't. I'm partially like I'm trying not to sound too excited about the Washington Commanders because I'm like my loyalty doesn't. It's in my contract that I'm not allowed to be excited about a different team in the same division. But I am excited to see how that offense is going to play out, and how they're going to make those pieces work. That being said, bringing it back to our buy, balance, and blow it up aspect of things, I'm kind of leaning towards them kind of balancing it out. Kind of just was last year was last year of a like not
A
enough
mirage? No,
yeah, like a mirage. Like
no.
did we catch like lightning in a bottle thing? Like pull it back. I I'm using my words cautiously because I never want to be like, hey, a team you did really good. Like, let's be realistic about things. But at the same time, if you have a rookie quarterback and you had an NFC Championship appearance, maybe it was luck. You like caught the Lions on a bad day with all their injuries. Like, maybe I'm gonna lean towards balance. The reason I'm gonna lean towards balance is for what I'm trying to like, in my word mumble jumble, get at is that like maybe you just need to put Jaden Daniels in more of a stabilized position instead of adding more pieces and kind of like I don't know raising the expectation a little bit. Like I don't think the Washington Commanders are two receivers away from beating the Eagles in the NFC Championship. I don't think that was the issue. So maybe like let some things settle, figure out where your pieces are landing, give Jaden Daniels like some offensive line help to make sure that he's not scrambling every play and kind of just play it out a little bit. That's why I'm like skeptically optimistic about what the Washington Commanders are building. So I'm going to go with balance just because I want to see this team and especially this offense kind of settle into where they are. And I want to see if they are who they were with a rookie quarterback, or was it a mirage, and was it lightning in the bottle? And maybe you need to make sure that you're focusing on the right places. I personally want to lean towards balancing it out to see maybe it's the like the defensive side that needs more help. I don't. I'm skeptical about the whole situation in Washington that it's just not as good as it seemed
No,
from
this is like if you this is not buy as in remaking the team. This is buy as in providing him more protection, and it's not as if they just did it on the offensive side of the ball. They went and replaced Jeremy Chen, who left for the Raiders. They went and got Will Harris. As a Saints fan, I can tell you I appreciated what Will Harris brought to the secondary. And then they went and brought Javon, what Kinlaw? Is that who it is? They brought him in. Like it's not as if they're just. And then they re-signed Bobby Wagner. Like Bobby Wagner
Yeah,
is like Dan Quinn's stepson. Like
yeah.
this is like he is
And
anywhere
they're
Dan
like
Quinn's gonna
this.
be. Yeah, 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 yeah. This is what is it? What do I always
How do
say?
they do? How do they do that? Like, yeah,
This
there
is
you go.
now.
That's the one.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
looking for.
This is Dan Quinn. This is Bobby Wagner. So like, hey, it's just like anywhere Dan Quinn goes, that's Bobby Wagner's gonna follow. And and Dan Quinn being a defensive guy, This is, I mean, they have. I honestly believe that they have stepped up even this defense. They have provided by buying. They have provided more protection for Jaden Daniels, more opportunity for him, not the pressure. The pressure should always be there. If you're an NFL quarterback, you're like, well, hold up, okay? It's not like we're talking about Anthony Richardson here, okay? Look, like, hold up, okay?
Why is he catching strays from you right now?
Like, what? I got more pressure. What? No, I don't want that. No, well, then you can't be our quarter. You shouldn't be a quarterback then. Like you should welcome the pressure. And if anyone has brought on the pressure on Jaden Daniels, it's Jaden Daniels. Jaden
Yeah.
Daniels did this to himself, which is fantastic, which is fine. Again, as an LSU fan, I love I love the fact that Jaden came from the Southwest over to LSU, and in the span of 2 years, well, really 1 year, became just this absolute unstoppable behemoth. And he is the skinniest behemoth I've ever seen, but he is a behemoth nonetheless. And he is destroying defenses all around the NFL. And Dan Quinn, Adam Peters said, "Hey, let's buy in. Let's buy him more protection because Jaden Daniels is going to do what JD does. JD is going to destroy. That's what he is going to create havoc. He's going to create his own opportunities. Why don't we just give him more toys to play with? Why don't we
Yeah.
just do that?
I mean, the one counter argument that I can have to my own argument is that there is no better time for you to buy as many pieces as you can than when you have your quarterback on a rookie salary or a good rookie contract,
Yes.
because like
Yes.
he's not
Yes.
gonna ever be any cheaper. And we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
I don't get me started on quarterback contracts and how bloated and inflated that position is when it comes to
Yeah.
contracts, but he's not gonna get any cheaper. And
He's not.
if you're really gonna make a push to win a Super Bowl, on
Mm-hmm.
it better be you during the rookie contract. So
Yeah.
that is like the appropriate counter argument to what I'm saying about like maybe waiting it out. But at this, I don't know. It's Washington. Like, do you? I don't have. It's hard for me to hate on Washington because we were like the NFC East was pretty much like
Mm-hmm.
they were taking turns being the laughing stock of the NFC East for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and besides the RG3 time where they kind of did something in the playoffs. I can't hate on them. It's like Washington, you do you. You had a shitty owner. You have new ownership now. I love Dan Quinn. You're doing your stuff. Go be successful. We'll get to the Cowboys later, but at the same time, as a Cowboys fan, like okay, I'm not gonna hate on the Commanders, even though well, not even though. Like, additionally, I love Dan Quinn for the Cowboys, and I'm not gonna hate on Dan Quinn for going and doing a successful with another team. Unfortunately, it's a division rival, but at the same time, like Dan Quinn, go do your thing. I can't hate on too many things about it. I'm just
And
being
let's
very
not forget,
cautious.
Dan Quinn is a more than capable head coach.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I know we all think of him as a DC in Seattle and Dallas. He was at the helm when Atlanta went to the Super Bowl. He was at the helm. Kyle Shanahan flubbed it up for him because he's a moron.
he
But
was. Dan Quinn was the scapegoat for that. Let's
he
put
was
it
a
all cards
scapegoat.
on the
He
table.
absolutely was. He was the stepping stone that Kyle Shanahan stepped on to become the head coach of San Francisco. And now the whole
Mm,
world is seeing how incompetent Kyle Shanahan is.
yeah,
And again, 49er fans, I'm just waiting. Come at me. Come at me, please. Come on. I'm dying for fresh air. Please, I need more. Like this is not rocket science. To be able to use your eyes and to notice this stuff. Like Dan Quinn is a capable head coach.
oh yeah,
He is more than capable to do this, and he has shown that he is able to rally a roster of 54 men and say, "Hey, this is where we're headed. Let's do this."
yep, yeah. I mean, you're right. Let's move on. Not to the Cowboys, which are third place. We'll leave the Cowboys for when I'm ready to cry on my way out of this episode. We'll jump right into the more intriguing team, I think, in the Giants. What?
I don't know what they're doing.
Buy?
I don't
Balance?
know.
Blow it up? What?
I don't know.
What
Maybe they
do they
think
do?
buying Tommy DeVito. I don't know. Like I just. I mean, look, Tommy Cutlets. I mean, look, it's a great nickname. it was a wonderful storyline 2 years ago. But why? Why this is? I don't understand. Okay. First off, okay, no, no slight to Joe Shane. Joe Shane should have kept his job. Okay, all right. I'm a big believer in that. Why is Brian Dable still there? Why? Why is Brian Dable? Unless the Maras believe that this is there's just they're like, look, we had a meeting amongst the family, and we figured out we're not going anywhere. Okay, we got Jalen Hurts, we got Jaden Daniels, we got the Campbell Soup guy. Okay, we got these guys that we got to compete against. Okay, why are we trying? I don't. And I'm not saying that the Giants should have blown it up because they really
What is there to blow up? What is there to blow up?
Maybe Malik Neighbors. Maybe that's it. I don't know. And then did they get the who was the guy they got from Carolina?
Oh yeah. Oh, that
Brian
was.
Burns.
Yeah, there you go. That was last year.
Brian Burns and Malik Neighbors. Maybe you trade those guys, but for what? You're not going to do anything with it because you know what? We're football fans, and we've seen you not do anything with so much before. Okay, we've seen this same organization bench Eli Manning just for the sake of benching Eli Manning for what the hell? You know what? Hey, maybe call Tom Coughlin. Maybe Tom Coughlin can come coach this team. I don't know. It was the last time they were relevant. I don't understand how
You know,
this is the marquee headline for the Giants. They brought back who was that receiver? Darius Slayton. Who is that?
no,
Exactly.
no.
Exactly. I mean, it's exactly what are you doing? Aaron Rodgers is not going to play for you. He's not going to come to this defunct organization. He already tried it with another failed New Jersey team who's masking to be from the big city lights of New York, okay? He's already tried that. He's not doing that. Who the hell is your quarterback? Who is your quarterback? Who is it? Who? This is I don't. This is I. As much as you can blow it up, just blow it the hell up. Okay? All right? I mean, put baby Clark Kent on a spaceship, send him to Earth, and then blow up Krypton. That's what the Giants should do. Yes.
Here, here's my here's what the take that I'm going to have on the Giants. I'm going to do a mix of they need to blow it up and at the same time buy into things. Two multifaceted. Number one, they need to buy into whether they're going to keep Dable as a coach. And at the same time, the owner or the GM needs to tell him, you're not drafting a quarterback because I am not sure that I'm going to have you for 3 years. So they need to buy into Travis Hunter as a draft pick because we know damn well you're going to fire Dable this year, most likely this year, and you're going to want to have a coach that has his quarterback in the draft or whatever to bring up by himself. So I'm going to go with buy into Travis Hunter so you can have at least an all-star explosive player, and then blow it up because you should have fired Dable 8 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a take that kind of I liked when it came to the Giants is the GM should tell the quarterback or not the coach, you're not allowed to draft a quarterback because I don't expect you to be here for 3 years. A coach should have a 3 year stability clause or somewhere, something in those lines as far as I know I'm going to be here for 3 years so I can draft a quarterback. The GM just step in and tell him you're not drafting a quarterback because I don't believe in what you're doing right now. Get me some good pieces, and then the next the next coaching staff could draft a quarterback that fits these pieces. So I'm gonna say buy into that and then blow up the rest of it because that's really the best way I can figure out what the hell the Giants are doing.
Yeah. Well, hey, remember, um, ding dong. Oh, I think that's your soapbox. I think it just got delivered by Amazon. When you go get that. Yeah.
Here's, here's my soapbox. I'm
Hey, you
standing
spent
high
a
on my
dollar.
soap.
Wow. I really built that real sturdy. Wow, man. I'm proud of my craftsmanship.
Not looking forward to this conversation, JB.
I'm just gonna mute this.
Let me start. Where do I even start with my Dallas Cowboys? I have to buy Jerry Jones a dictionary for him to figure out what aggressive means and going all in means. Those are four different words that you need to look up in the dictionary, Jerry Jones. But the one last year was the we're all in aspect of things. That's come and gone. I'm still talking to the mighty gods to figure out what the hell you meant last season because I don't know what the hell you bought into. This year you were going to be aggressive with your off-season moves. And the last signings that I saw was that your biggest impact signing that you had was Miles Sanders. Which, if I was delusional and maybe I had a time machine, maybe my smartwatch has like teleported me into 5, 6 years ago, 2020, 2019. Maybe that's where I'm at right now because I feel like Miles Sanders is not the Miles Sanders that we thought we had a few years ago. If Miles Sanders is your interpretation of being aggressive, I don't know what your definition of being passive is. Jerry Jones, I pro you have me going, you get me going every offseason. I thought getting rid of Mike McCarthy or mutually parting ways with Mike McCarthy was going to be a good move for the Dallas Cowboys. And then you went and hired the inexperienced, what's his name? Shoemaker. He makes some cleats or he's the last name Shoemaker. I don't even know who you hired. I don't really understand, Jerry Jones, what you're doing, and I'm not even too sure I understand what the future looks like. At this point, after I just saw the news that the Celtics got sold, maybe this is the time, Jerry. Maybe this is the time for you to say, I'm going to cut my losses. I'm going to get as much billions of dollars as I can by selling the franchise, and then I'm just going to let somebody else take over because I don't know what I'm doing. But of course, that would require some self-reflection, some self-awareness about your inability to really run a team, and it's not in the Jerry Jones handbook on how to be an owner. So I'm going to blow it up. Honestly, I thought about this. I wish Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb would come together, pull this like shady like boycott of the Dallas Cowboys, and both of them demand a trade because they don't like the direction the franchise is going. That would be such a like awareness moment for that organization if your quarterback and your top wide receiver that you just signed said, "Hey, we don't like where this is going. This is not where we want to be." I wish that them two would come together and say we want out because then maybe Jerry Jones would figure out that what he has been doing for the last 30 years is not working. I don't know. Blow it up, Jerry. Get rid of. I'm very serious about the fact that I think Dak Prescott should not be with the Cowboys, and CeeDee Lamb is going to have his fruitful prime years wasted away with an organization that refuses to admit that they need to rebuild and continue to believe that they are a piece or two away from being a contender. You're not even a contender in your division. We just talked for 20 minutes about the Super Bowl champion Eagles and where we blindly trust Howie Roseman, whatever he's doing is the right decision, and then the commies are drafting well, bringing in pieces that they feel they need, and Jerry Jones is sitting in the sidelines saying, I got everything I need. I don't understand it. JB, get me off my soapbox because you know how I get when you get me going on the Cowboys. It pisses me off, and I need you to step in.
Look, okay, you're being too harsh. Okay, they signed a guy to a 1 year deal who was really good 2 years ago. Okay, so let's not just pretend that they're running from Rome. Okay, woosah, woosah.
I
Okay,
am this close, JB. I am this close to pulling the unforgivable sin of saying I'm picking a new team. I'm about it. I'm gonna have a draft
I'm gonna
after
stop you there.
next year.
Mute,
I'm telling
mute,
you, I'm
mute
gonna have
yourself.
a draft
Mute
and I'm gonna
yourself.
pick a new fan
Mute
base.
yourself. Mute yourself, sir. Mute yourself. Okay, I will not have you trash yourself and destroy your credibility by being
This
one of
close,
those
JB.
wishy-washy fans. I'm
No,
not gonna
not wishy
I'm
washy.
not gonna allow you to be my father, okay? Who decided to change teams because they were terrible, okay?
I this close, JB. If I don't see the fall of Jerry Jones and his retirement or his unforsaken death, I'm
Will see
done.
the fall of Jerry Jones because he's gonna die really soon.
I don't
All
know.
it's gonna
Deals
take is
with the
one
devil
of
last
those.
forever.
Look,
Deals with the devil last forever, JB.
all we need to do is make a call, okay? Say, hey, Victoria's Secret, send two of your angels up to his suite. Just, I don't know, induce a cardiac event, okay? Let him die of a heart attack, okay? Let him die happy, okay? Dance on
Why
his desk, okay? But
teasing me
look,
with a good time? You're tempting me with some beautiful, beautiful future. JB, what do the Cowboys need to do?
I mean, the Cowboys need to spend some money, man. I mean, damn, this dude. I thought this dude was an oil magnet, like not like a olive oil magnet, like a real oil magnet. Like I thought that's how he made his money. Like this dude, like I don't think like when he says I'm going all in, I don't think that means what he thinks it means
Mm-mm.
because he didn't even call Derrick Henry last offseason. Didn't even call him. What? And Derrick Henry said, I want to play for Dallas. I want to play there. He didn't even get an effing phone call. Like, I don't know how you fix this. I don't. I don't know how you fix this. I don't know.
The
Maybe
equivalent of that is this year Cooper Cup being like, "Yeah, Cowboys, you know what? That sounds pretty good." And then the Cowboys coming out and saying, you're kind of a little too good for us. We don't want to pay you
I
like real."
actually don't disagree with them wanting to sign Cooper Cup because or and not wanting to sign them because Cooper Cup has gotten worse just just in the behind the scenes statistics. Like he can't even separate from a bus. Like I mean that's how slow his speed has been. He can't even create separation between a tank and himself. Like
Whether
that's
he
how bad he's
can or
been.
cannot, whether he can or cannot, the fact that the Cowboys are like, "You're a little too expensive for our liking." That's how you get better when you pay for players that have potential.
Look, how are you gonna sign Javante Adams and Miles Sanders? Okay, how are you gonna sign backup running backs from other teams? Okay, if you spend money on Cooper Cup, how you
Yeah.
gonna do that? How you gonna do that?
Oh.
And look, to Javante to Javante Williams' credit, he was the starter for Denver last year. Okay, and he was pretty damn good 2 years ago. He had the injury. He started to come back this year. I'm actually I'm actually looking forward to what he produces on the field for Dallas this season. So I mean, he's definitely better than whatever a Rico Dowdle is. Okay, I think I used like 7 Rico Dowdles to rebuild this fence. Like I just but just don't worry about it. Okay, Javante Williams will be just fine. Okay, they went and got Dante Fowler. He was great in college. So it's been a decade, but let's not.
The
I mean,
player that you let go 3 years ago because he was washed, you brought him
maybe
back.
look, maybe Demarcus Lawrence is wrong. Okay, maybe Micah Parsons doesn't spend too much time on Twitter. Okay, maybe maybe Micah Parsons is on the right track. Maybe Micah knows.
You
Maybe
know
Dexter.
what?
Maybe
It
Dexter
must
Lawrence
stink.
made. mistake.
Oh,
Maybe Dexter
if
made
a
the
Saints fan is talking me off the edge, I better listen.
maybe Dexter made a mistake. Okay, all right. I mean, come on. All right.
Oh, you see my stress vein popping out right now? It just gets me going every time. I just don't get it. I don't understand this franchise. I'm so ready to be done with that. This close. JB, get us into our fix of six before I pop a blood vessel.
JB and Manny's fix of six. JB's fix of six, number three. It was recently announced by the St. Petersburg, Florida officials that they would no longer be moving forward with plans to rebuild a new stadium for the Tampa Bay Rays. Uh, this is a problem because Bobby Manchild, his great dream is to be able to do a realignment and expansion before he leaves in 2028, I believe it is. Um, this is going to put a hold on that because if you don't know where one of your existing MLB teams is going to be, how the hell are you going to do an expansion? And even more so, in lesser extent, how are you going to realign the divisions if you don't know where they're going to play? And so, not only does he have the A's not even officially going to be in Oakland not Oakland, in Vegas in 2028, you have no idea where a second MLB team is going to play. This has got to be fixed. This is a travesty for the MLB. This is terrible for the players of the Rays, not knowing where they're going to play beyond 2025, which is which is the George Steinbrenner spring training facility in Florida, which I guess isn't too bad because it's right down the road from where they were usually play. But this has got to be fixed. This has got to be worked out. We have to figure out a way forward. You got to sell this team. You got to move this team to Nashville. You got to move it somewhere. Move it to Portland. Move it to Nashville. Move it somewhere. Move it to New Orleans, for God's sakes. JB's fix of six, number two. I'm going to stay on the same vein. We are already being told that the MLB season is going to be on lockout soon after the 2026 season is done because of the new collective bargaining agreement. I am sick and effing tired of these damned bozos of Bobby Manchild and Tony Clark of the MLBPA being able to run the show. Not only is Bobby Manchild a terrible commissioner for the owners, because the owners still don't even get what they want, but Tony Clark is so laughably bad for the Players Association because the Players Association is still, they are like what, Escalades. They are just rolling this stone up a mountain and then having it roll right back down just to roll it back up again. Like this this is ridiculous. Tony Clark needs to go, and so does Bruce Meyer. Bruce Meyer sitting there saying, and I get it, he works for Tony Clark, but sitting there saying that Tony Clark is the best union head for a sports organization is just laughably ridiculous. Now I'll give it this: MLB has not had a salary cap. Okay, great, but guess what's probably coming? A salary cap. That's probably coming sooner than later, sooner than most people would want to believe, because unless they can get this damned thing fixed, where the owners of of a low market team, a small market team, unless you can get them to commit to a floor of spending, then a salary cap is the inevitable. I want to remind people of what it was like in the early 90s when Faye Vincent, God rest his soul, and then Bud Selig, soon to be God rest his soul, decided not to have any drug testing for these MLB players. And then what happened? Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa single handedly saved baseball when the Royals game was cut off in 94 for the OJ Highway Chase. Now, let's not just sit back and think everything's going to be fine. It's not going to be fine until something gives. Tony Clark needs to get off his ass and he needs to grow a spine and he needs to demand. I mean, Demand. I mean, go in there like Marie Antoinette before she gets decapitated. Demand to have a small market team like floor salary cap, like a budget. Like they need to have at least this much. That is what's going to save baseball is when these poor billionaire owners decide or are forced to have to spend some damned money. JB's fix of six, number one, going right back into it. We have got to stop this bullcrap of an international opening day for Major League Baseball. I'm sorry. I was told, I've been brought up to believe, and it still existed, that America's pastime is baseball. Why the hell is the opening day of Major League Baseball happening in a country where we nuked them 80 years ago? Why is this happening? Why are we importing baseball to another country for all of us Americans to enjoy our pastime at 4 in the morning? Yeah, I get that's great. That's nice for all the lawyers and sports agents who get up to pretend to do yoga and run the treadmill for 10 miles, but they're really just getting effed by their prostitutes because it's a Wednesday. But let's not, we have to bring this back. Bring it back to America. This is America's pastime. I do not want to get up at 4 in the effing morning to watch the Cubs and the Dodgers play baseball. And yes, it's not it if it wasn't bad enough that this was imported to Japan for us to be able to celebrate with them for God knows what reason other than just insanity. The, why is it that it wasn't even celebrated as opening day other than this was Shohei Otani's homecoming? We have got to stop this. I don't care if you want to have Japan host two teams for opening day. Have it effing happen on effing opening effing day. Don't let it happen 2 weeks before while the Giants and Red Sox are out there just scrimmaging out there in freaking, not Giants and Red Sox, but the effing Giants and Angels scrimmaging in effing Arizona while hours after the Cubs and Dodgers just played an international opening day. We don't need international opening day and domestic opening day. We need opening day. Bring it back. And until that happens, every single year that this happens, this will be my rant. I will rant about this till I'm blue in the face because I am American, damn it. And this is what America deserves. It's pastime on one opening day. And that is JB's Fix of Six.
JB. For those of you that didn't catch on, JB's not a big fan of Manchild, and this is his yearly. As long as this podcast continues to stream, this is JB's yearly get rid of the international opening day rant. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I mean, if we're having an opening day, we should have one opening day. That's what that last time I checked in the dictionary that I bought Jerry Jones. Opening day means opening day. We shouldn't have two opening days. It doesn't make sense to me. On that note, on Manny's fix of six, number three, I'm going to take it to football. I am going to focus on football with my number three fix of six being the Patriots. I know, the Patriots. Because they have managed to spend $233 million signing free agent players. And I have to be the one to apologize to Mike Vrabel for saying you didn't really necessarily prove anything besides an AFC championship. But if you are getting the Patriots to spend $233 million in free agency, you're doing something right. And on that note, you should give some notes to the team that I unforsakenly have to call my franchise fandom base of the Dallas Cowboys. Mike Vrabel, I'm glad that you're making your team spend money to bring in good pieces to make a good franchise. Give some notes to Jerry Jones and tell him how to build a good franchise. On Manny's number two fix of six, I'm going to enlighten or bring up a topic that JB's probably gonna love, and that is that LSU player Jamar Chase finally got a contract with the Bengals, and the last report that I saw was that the LSU greatness that was Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, they've earned a cumulative of $666 million in contracts. Good for you. I love that for LSU players. I love that for just players as a whole. But at the same time, I love the fact that the Bengals decided to keep their good drafted players and sign them because that is a sign of a well functioning, well running organization. This is coming from the guy that just last week bashed the Bengals for being the cheapskates of the NFL, where they didn't want to sign anybody besides the quarterback. Thank you for proving me wrong, Bengals. I'm glad that you signed your marquee All Star players to contracts, and I'm glad you found a way to make it work. Again, tying it all back to the Cowboys, give the Cowboys a lesson on how to keep good athletes and good skill players within your organization. And on Manny's number one fix of six, Josh Allen signed a contract extension week ago, week and a half ago. Well deserved after an MVP type campaign. What I want to focus on is the comments that he made when they were asking him about not resetting the market as a quarterback for the most money by a quarterback earned in the contract, whatever, however you want to phrase it. He did not reset the market by blowing the quarterback contracts out of the water. And he said, and I quote, "What is $5 more million going to do for me? I can already buy a house. I live comfortably. I can buy cars. What is $5 million going to do for me?" And here's my thing about that statement. The quarterback that is making $5 million more than him is Dak Prescott. Way to take a jab at the way that contracts are going for quarterbacks in this NFL market, Josh Allen. I love the fact that you acknowledge that, hey, 260, $265 million, $300 million compared to $305 million is really not that big of a thing. Sure, $5 million in a contract in the NFL world is probably like chump change, as much as it makes me throw up in my mouth saying $5 million is a chump change amount of money. But good for you for acknowledging that maybe you don't need the extra $5 million, and maybe you help your franchise actually win a Super Bowl, because ultimately that money is going to get spent on another player, another piece that is going to help you win a Super Bowl, Josh Allen. So congratulations on your life generational wealth defining contract extension, and I love the fact that you took a jab at the $5 million more earning quarterback that is Dak Prescott, with his market resetting contract that still stands tall as the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And that is Manny's fix of six.
Well done, my man. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you love how I tied every single one of my fix of sixes to the Cowboys? It's just poetry. JB, what were you drinking?
I was drinking this bourbon I bought the other day called Old Scout.
Nice.
It is a 58% alcohol volume. It
Nice.
doesn't have the proof on it, but I'm guessing it's around 115, 116. It's delicious. And
Dang.
what I was smoking was a Havana City Selection number one. I've had to relight it a few times. I did a V cut on it for those listening, so maybe just cut it with the guillotine and then punch it to get a better draft. Manny, what were you drinking?
We bought another bottle of the non-sponsored Kirkland brand Old Fashioned Mix, which is 37% alcohol volume and 75% proof. For an old fashioned drink, I personally today was craving something a little bit more,
Yeah.
subtle with the flavors. I didn't want something too aggressive with my palate. So yeah, I'm drinking an old fashioned. It was pretty good. I'm a big fan of the old fashioned Kirkland brand's bottle. It's very smooth to drink, especially if you're drinking it casually. So that's what I was drinking. JB, we're done. We are out of here. You tell everybody where they can find us.
You can catch us at Box Scores and Bourbon on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, and Apple, and additional content at BSB Sports 24 on TikTok, X, and Instagram.
On that note, contribute to us. Tell us that our takes are wild. Tell me that I shouldn't stay as a Cowboys fan or that I should stay as a Cowboys fan. Until next time, cheers, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Stay thirsty.